For Qatar, the 2022 World Cup was supposed to be more than a football tournament. It was a statement written in concrete, steel, gold, and glass. And at the center of it stood an 80,000-seat stadium built for the biggest match in the country's history. It opened in September 2022, hosted 10 World Cup matches, and held the final on December 18. But there was another problem waiting after the tournament ended. What do you do with an 80,000-seat stadium when the World Cup leaves? This is Lusail Stadium. And the problem isn't whether it can host a World Cup. It already did. The question is, what happens to a building designed for the biggest sporting event on Earth when that event is gone? Lusail Stadium began with a city that barely existed. Lusail was planned as a new urban center north of Doha, eventually intended to accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. The stadium was supposed to become its visual centerpiece, sitting at the end of a grand boulevard and connecting the new city to the waterfront. The client was Qatar's Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, the organization responsible for delivering the country's World Cup infrastructure. In 2015, after an international competition, Foster Plus Partners was appointed as the architect, working with Arab and Populace. The brief was straightforward on paper. Build the largest venue of the tournament, make it suitable for the final, respond to Qatar's extreme climate, and somehow give the stadium a useful life beyond 2022. That last part mattered. Because from the beginning, the designers weren't supposed to create a temporary monument to a 3-week event. They were trying to design a building that could survive the event that justified its existence. And on the numbers, the result is difficult not to admire. Lusail Stadium holds 80,000 spectators. It is the largest of Qatar's 8 World Cup venues and sits roughly 15 kilometers north of Doha. It hosted 10 matches during the tournament, including the final. The exterior uses a gold-colored fade, made from repeating triangular openings, while the overall form was inspired by the interplay of light and shadow associated with the traditional Fenar lantern. Inside, the seating bowl surrounds an open-air pitch, while the roof provides shade and helps create a controlled environment for spectators. The roof itself is a major engineering exercise. A huge cable-supported structure spans the stadium, with a diameter of roughly 307 meters, creating a broad protective canopy above the bowl. And then the engineers started doing the math. Because an 80,000-seat stadium isn't just a giant bowl with a roof placed on top. It is a machine for moving people, controlling temperature, managing air, protecting equipment, and keeping thousands of separate systems working together. In a normal building, the structure mainly has to deal with gravity, wind, and everyday movement. The moment you create an enormous open stadium with a huge roof, long structural spans, and tens of thousands of occupants, everything changes. Let's talk about what happens structurally when you make the roof enormous. The roof has to carry its own weight while resisting wind forces, and its geometry has to remain stable as those forces change. A cable-supported roof works differently from a conventional flat roof because tension becomes a major part of the structural system. Tension simply means the material is being pulled rather than pushed. That sounds basic. It isn't. The stadium also has to work in a climate where summer temperatures can become severe. From the beginning, the project was designed around Qatar's weather, including a cooled pitch and shaded spectator areas. Here's the thing about Lusail that every giant stadium knows. The match lasts 90 minutes, but the building has to work every minute before and after it. Arab served as the stadium engineer, while Populace handled the sports architecture and seating bowl. Foster Plus Partners developed the overall architectural concept. The construction procurement went to a joint venture involving HBK Contracting and China Railway Construction Corporation, with Keo also involved in detailed design and engineering services. The solution was not to make the building simple. It was to make the complexity manageable. The roof system, fade, cooling infrastructure, lighting, crowd circulation, security, media systems, and seating were all designed around one enormous central requirement. 80,000 people had to be able to use the same building at the same time. And that part barely gets mentioned in the architecture magazines. Think about the ordinary things. A lift has to move, a door has to close, plumbing has to work, cooling has to reach the right spaces. A television camera needs a clear position. A player needs a tunnel. A spectator needs to find a seat without getting trapped in a human traffic jam. Multiply every small problem by 80,000. But here's something about this building that nobody ever explains. The World Cup itself was the easy deadline to understand. December 18th, 2022, Argentina against France. Final, and the building delivered. On September 9th, 2022, Lusail Stadium opened to the public with the Lusail Super Cup between Al Hilal and Zamalek. Less than 3 months later, it became the stage for the World Cup final. Then came one of the strangest football matches ever played inside it. Argentina led France 1-0 after Lionel Messi's penalty in the 23rd minute. Angel Di Maria made it 2-0 in the 36th. For more than an hour, the stadium appeared to be heading toward a straightforward conclusion. It wasn't. France scored twice in the final stages, including Kylian Mbappe's second goal in the 81st minute, forcing extra time. Messi scored again in the 108th minute. Mbappe completed his hat-trick with another penalty in the 118th. Then came penalties. Argentina won the shootout. Nobody was hurt. The building did exactly what it had been designed to do. That is important. Because Lusail didn't fail. But that is not the remarkable part. The remarkable part is what was supposed to happen next. FIFA's own legacy documentation says Qatar's stadiums were designed with post-tournament uses in mind, including demountable features. For Lusail, the stated plan was to convert the stadium into a non-sporting venue. As of FIFA's 2023 reporting, those legacy plans were still a work in progress and subject to feasibility, cost, market demand, and sustainability considerations. That means the central question was never simply whether Lusail could survive. It was whether Lusail could become something else. Other Qatar stadiums took different approaches. Stadium 974 was designed to be dismantled and reassembled elsewhere. Al Bayt was planned for a reduced capacity. Several other venues were designed so upper tiers could be removed, with around 170,000 seats across the stadium program planned for donation to locations needing sporting infrastructure. Here is the fundamental difference between Lusail and every other World Cup stadium we've covered. Lusail wasn't designed merely to shrink. It was intended to change function. And that creates a different kind of engineering problem. A stadium can be perfectly successful and still face an uncertain future. Concrete ages. Steel coatings require maintenance. Mechanical systems are replaced. Waterproofing deteriorates. Electrical equipment becomes obsolete. Air conditioning systems are upgraded, not slightly, not as a design flourish, over decades. There is no historical data for what a Lusail stadium looks like at 50 years, because no Lusail stadium is 50 years old. This is the first. It is the only one. By 2072, engineers inspecting the building won't care how impressive the opening ceremony looked. They'll care about corrosion, concrete condition, roof components, mechanical systems, drainage, joints, and everything else that quietly determines whether a huge public building remains economical to operate. But here's the question that sits beneath all of this. Will the city around it grow into the building? Because Lusail Stadium was designed as the centerpiece of Lusail City, a city planned to eventually house almost 500,000 people. Today, people still enter through the gold fade, walk beneath the enormous roof, and sit inside the bowl where the 2022 final happened. They see the pitch. They hear the crowd. They feel the air conditioning. They aren't thinking about life cycle costs, roof membranes, or what the building might become in 50 years. None of them are thinking about whether an 80,000-seat World Cup stadium can find a second life. But that is the real story of Lusail. Someone can walk into this building today and see a monument to Qatar's World Cup. The engineers see something else, a structure that has already completed its biggest job and now has to justify everything that comes after. For how long? Drop it below. Would you still want to visit Lusail Stadium if its future changed completely? Please subscribe to my channel